Yeah. JK Beats. Infotrap, bringing the news that you never heard about. At least not on the tube, only internet or word of mouth. Supplying you with a daily dose of hardcore truth. The real news update that educates you. Realize you have slept and that you have been kept in a dumbed down state of mind by the media. Unless time to open up your eyes to the lies that you were fed. So for the straight up facts, tune in to Infotrap. Available from state to state, all across the nations. The place where we'll be facing the coming false flag operations. You never ever seen anything like it on TV. Infotrap is bringing the facts for making the people see free. It's easy. Just go to whatthefuckreally.com is the place to get informed. Believe me, it's WTF. RLY.com, where the untold news will damn near hit you like a bomb. This is where you hear about the governmental schemes, the evil plans of evil banks and men behind the scene. Every day bringing your way different guest appearances. Check it out on YouTube, Facebook, RSS, and Twitter. Discussing the topics that'll get you open-minded. Real eyes realize that had you blinded. Foreseeing full-fledged federal war/fantasies. And after the attack, the police state is the remedy. Covering the current economic collapse. And what is in your food? Ever ask yourself that? Secret black budget CIA operations, chemtrails, martial law, and TSA molestations. Did you even know that we're now at war with Syria? Or that you need to prepare for mass hysteria? The people are waking up for revolutionary steps. Iran is up next, stay tuned at Infotrap.
Thank you for joining me on the Infotrap. I'm your host, Baran Hines, and today my guest is Anthony Freda. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's a graphic artist and has done many illustrations for magazines, different media, print art, all kinds of different things. So, thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate you coming on.
No, it's my pleasure, Brian.
Tell people a little bit about your background first.
Well, I started, got out of art school and I started working in advertising, actually, and I worked on a lot of different campaigns, kind of, I don't know if you remember the Joel Camel campaigns. I worked on those, which was, I apologize for that, but I was part of this campaign. You know, we were doing cartoons and we were basically pitching cigarettes to kids. And I was
targeting kids.
Yeah, and I was a kid out of art school. I didn't even realize, I was so clueless at the time. But, you know, and I worked on hundreds of Fortune 500 company campaigns for the biggest agencies in the world, and I was successful, and I made some money. I did it for a while, but I was just completely unfulfilled, and I knew I wanted to do more with my life than sell cigarettes and beer and tampons. So I moved into the political arena because I was always interested in it as an artist, and I kind of took the tools I learned in advertising, the tools of persuasion, and I started selling ideas of freedom and peace and truth, and instead of, you know, just consumerism. So I kind of flipped it 180, and I realized the power of the image. Though I learned it. I learned the powers of and tools of persuasion in the advertising world. So it actually benefited me in ways that I didn't anticipate in the work I do now.
Well, all that notwithstanding, that gives you a pretty extensive experience in all different forms of art. And to the point why we're here today, you recently had a piece of yours accepted into the 9/11 Truth. Excuse me, a slip of the tongue. I wish it was.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story. I want to start a 9/11 Truth Museum. We'll talk about that some other time.
You know, I get a little overzealous. I wish it said that, but the 9/11 Memorial, you had a piece of art accepted into that. I think that this is the most, you know, proper way to introduce it. You know, not to make the show about Kim Kardashian. So anyway, tell people about the piece that you had accepted into the museum. The video is going to be in that piece that we put up.
Yeah, there's the video out, part of this film that we've been working on called Behind Truth Art, which documents the whole process. And I submitted this piece to the museum with a letter telling them that you can't have a 9/11 museum without 9/11 truth being represented. It's a very incomplete picture of the whole 9/11 story, and you just you need to have this represented in some way. And to my astonishment, they agreed with me, and they accepted my piece to be part of the permanent collection. So I went into the museum and had a meeting with them for an hour, and they covered me with questions about 9/11, about my piece. My piece has a lot of different elements that kind of tie to all the different elements of the 9/11 truth movement together.
Really, it's one of the raunchiest pieces of truth art you'll ever see. It's got links to the Bin Laden CIA conspiracy, the New World Order things, the Project for a New American Century Declaration, that we need a new Pearl Harbor, all sorts of things that are really unfit for discussion on mainstream news television, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I've had my work in the New York Times, Rolling Stone. I mean, pretty much every magazine in America. This piece I did was for the Village Voice originally, and that was the piece, that assignment I got. It's the assignment that woke me up. I mean, I was commissioned to make this illustration as kind of a hit piece to make fun of the 9/11 truth movement, and I started doing this research, and I started realizing, these are serious people. These are not crazy people. This is, Richard Gage is architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and there's physicists like Stephen Jones, and there's intelligence people like Steve Pachenik, and I mean, on and on and on. People that are incredibly knowledgeable and are serious people, and actually, they have nothing to gain by putting this information out.
They're risking their life.
Yeah, they're risking their reputation, their life, and their careers to tell the truth. So you got to pay attention. When somebody's willing to risk it all to tell you something, you better listen. It's like if somebody's getting paid a lot of money to tell you something, then you don't have to listen because they're bought and paid for. But when they're not getting paid, but they're risking everything to tell you something, you need to pay attention, and that's what these people are doing. So when I heard Richard Gage, his wife left him and he lost his business. I mean, everything went horribly wrong for this guy because he just stuck by his principles. And he said, as an architect, listen, this is not the way this building would fall. It can't possibly happen according to the laws of physics. I'm a scientist. I'm an architect. I know how buildings are built and how they fall. And this is not how it happens. So you got to pay attention to people like that.
The whole 9/11 truth community, as it has no real good name, has some element of scientists and architects who are basically challenging what the 9/11 Commission has put out as the official story and observed evidence, video, audio, witnesses, the dozens of people that heard explosions, probably, over 100 people documented and probably heard explosions. If you could, look at, between the news reports and, firemen and all kinds of stuff that day, probably it's in the hundreds. But,
yeah. Well, you got 200 acres. It was a 220 square acres of concrete that just magically became pulverized, into dust. And I was down there. It was dust. I mean, there wasn't chunks of concrete. There wasn't rebar in it. No. How did it all become dust? I mean, that's impossible, unless
without some sort of explosive force.
Yes, it had to be a designed explosive force for the specific purpose of pulverizing all that huge amount of concrete.
Well, the real problem in this is that beyond physics, the elements of how the government explanation of the collapse is framed, people cannot really conceptualize the multiple different points at which it's wrong. You start out with the planes hitting the towers. that massive fireball is most of the jet fuel that was on that plane, and it's exploding outside the building.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're right. I mean, physics is just one part of it, and there's so many different. If it was just one, angle that was questionable, I could probably dismiss it. But it's not. It's 1,000.
right.
I mean, nothing makes sense about this story. It's not just the physics. It's why was there no response? I mean, why did they just stand down and let these guys do whatever they wanted? I mean, that's not the way the procedure is supposed to work. Why did NORAD stand down? We know we're under attack. We just let them crash a plane to the Pentagon.
Yeah, in four instances, the nation, this air defense system that protects just about everything, with good regularity, let 4 planes on the same day in 2-hour window in different locations.
Yeah, so we know we're under attack, and the most heavily defended airspace in the world, which is Washington, D.C., it can't be defended. It makes no sense. The pilots whose job it is to scramble jets and defend, the Capitol, they don't understand what happened that day,
Well, until you consider the massive defense exercises that were scheduled for that day, which were semi-publicly available, as far as information goes. Anyone could have kind of looked that up, but basically, I don't know, number maybe 80% of the forces, normally on active duty were involved in a training exercise on the other side of the country, basically looking at Russian invasion and, things like that. So,
well, that's a tactic they use for these false flags. They have drills going on at the same time to confuse the people who are not in on it, and they can say, listen, you can hear the recording of people. I think it was in NORAD saying, "Is this a real world or is this a drill?"
Yeah.
You've heard that recording, and so they. I mean,
that's been on mainstream media, to the point that people still don't really ask that question when. Ultimately it comes down to a point of, are we knowing the full story about what happened, or are we being lied to in some way? And people never really seem to be able to make that distinction logically. And it just comes down to, do you support the official government story, or are you a 9/11 truther, in their opinion?
Well, it's so clear. I mean, from day one, they were not making an effort to reveal the truth. They were making an effort to conceal the truth. I mean, they wanted Henry Kissinger to be the head of the 9/11 Commission report. I mean, come on, this is a guy who killed millions of people in Cambodia and Vietnam for fun.
He's a fixer. He fixes things.
Yeah, he fixes, except he's completely discredited, and he's a war criminal, and he's anybody who's ever paid attention to his career knows that he should be behind bars, not be giving commissions and awards. Anyway, beyond that, then Bush and Cheney both said, they're not going to testify unless they're not under oath and unless they're in the same room together. I mean, is that really people trying to get to the truth, or are they trying to get to something else? Why would they make those conditions unless they had something to hide? And like I say, there's 1,000 other points. These are just a couple, but we can go on all day. So when you start to put all these pieces together, which is what I did in this piece, I mean, as much as I can get into this one piece of artwork, it starts to build a picture that is completely counter to the official narrative. It's a counter narrative, and that was my whole intent to get this piece in there, because the museum is a museum to the official narrative. The museum is a shrine to the official narrative. So having a piece in there that challenges it, this is the first and only piece in the collection that challenges the official narrative. So it's something.
It'll be interesting to see where they place it. I wonder if they'll put it in a bathroom or
right in the urinal. You can pee on it when you go in. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I mean, there's a video. I sent you the video. We documented it with video, and we might be in trouble for that later. But they.
Fuck it, it's out there.
It's out there, man.
Here's what I wonder, because I know that this is not the first time that these people have been introduced to the 9/11 truth, movement or the ideas of it in any kind of way. It cannot be. And even if it is, how is it that your piece made it through? I'm not questioning you. I'm just putting that out there in that sense as to why it would even be acceptable. Considering who's on the board of the museum and things like that.
Yeah, no, I know. Bush and Cheney and I think on the board. It is, listen, I'm as baffled by you are. You know, when I approached them, I thought they would just either completely ignore me or just say thank you but no thank you. And they didn't do that. They said we want this piece in the museum. Now, it makes no sense because why would, you know, the whole thing is, when you go there, it's all just about let's worship the story, and this is why we have to take your rights away, this is why we have to, you know, have all these wars, and it's the same old tired narrative that we've heard and that we all had drilled into our heads. And this one piece challenges that. So, I mean, why would they want anything in there that challenges it? Now, I can't speak for the museum. I don't know what their intentions are. I don't know if they're trying to be fair or if they're just I don't know what they're thinking. I can't get inside their head, like I say, but
well,
they did acquire. They say it's part of the permanent collection, so it's in their hands right now. It's in their possession. It's part of their exhibit.
You know, I congratulate you. You won the internet at least for one day. So let's actually move to the newest point. You know, so Kim Kardashian tried to break the internet, and she did on multiple occasions, it seems, with those provocative pictures. Most of you've seen them. And that's how I was introduced to your work, which in this case was even more stunning. I thought what everyone saw was Kim Kardashian's naked behind pictures, to be polite, on the cover of that magazine. And it's basically turned into a lot of different memes, which are really funny in a lot of ways, but yours seemed to be the funniest, with you putting 9/11 appropriately on both cheeks and inside job above it.
Yeah. Well, this is what we need to do. We all need to do this. You know, these memes come out there. I mean, it was one of the most seen things in history. It was her fat ass. So what we need to do is take these icons of pop culture and turn them back on
repurpose it is the word that I use.
Yeah, repurpose, that's a perfect word. That's a great word. We repurpose it for our own purposes, and we use, you know, the things that people are paying attention to in pop culture to get ideas that are much more important than a fat ass out there. So, yes, it's coarse and it's sexist, whatever it is. You can put all these labels on it. But you know what? It's a tool. I mean, they're using this tool to destroy us. We need to use whatever tools are available to us in the digital age, and pop culture is just that's where the playing field is. It's online, it's these memes, and we need to counter their propaganda and their memes with our memes, and I think we can have great effect doing that.
It's guerrilla warfare, and
that's right.
Excellent move. We thank you for it, all of us in the 9/11 Truth community.
Thanks, brother. And I'm telling you, you know, this is an ongoing war, and I mean, I have a lot of ideas. I need more artists to help me. If anybody out there is interested, you know, you go to AnthonyFreda.com and contact me, because we are in a war. And another idea I have, which still has a lot of way to go, but I want to have a 9/11 Truth Museum. And I'm going to start putting this together and crowdfunding it, and trying to get people from the truth movement to you know, donate artifacts and donate information and donate films and donate art and donate pieces that we can put together into a collection, and as a counter to the official shrine, to their story. Because I mean, I'm trying to infiltrate their museum. That was my original intent here, and I had some success with that. But I don't know. They have control over that. It's their museum, so they can shut it down anytime they want. And like you say, you know, Bush and Cheney are on the board, so when they walk by, if they're walking through the museum, they see this thing. You know, I don't think they're going to be too thrilled.
I I don't understand how they didn't know about it. And, more to the point, it may be just a little bit of hubris. Fuck it, let them in. I really don't know. But, you know what, I know a lot of ways that you can help out more in the truth movement, and I look forward to working with you.
Well, dude, we're going to work together, and that's what it's all about. All of us coming together, we have so much power. When we're on our own out there in the wilderness, you feel like you're powerless. But when we come together, when we all come together, there's millions of us out there. We can fight. We can fight all these lies and this propaganda with our own voice. Our voice is for truth. They call us truthers as if that's a pejorative term. What's the opposite of truth? It's a lie. So if we're truthers, then they're liars. So it's hidden in plain sight who the good guys are, and it's us. So F them and F their lies and F their propaganda. We're going to infiltrate. We're going to fight back. We're going to create art and movies and music and, political podcasts or the newscasts or whatever we can do on every single front in this war, and we're going to fight them. And you know what? We have the moral high ground. We have the truth. So I believe in the end we will be victorious. They have a lot of power and a lot of money, but there's more of us than them.
I wonder that that poll is correct. I think it was a year ago or something like that. But over half of Americans at least question the story.
Is that right? I wasn't aware of that, but I believe it because it's interesting. I'm seeing more and more people that are starting to question. 5 years ago, man. 10 years ago, forget it. Nobody wanted to hear this. But now I think people are ready because they realize they lied to us about a lot of stuff, They said that nobody's spying on you, and then we find out that they are spying on us. So it's like,
right.
they lie to us. So
lies all around, but
lies everywhere. And even the most mainstream person who just kind of turns on CNN and thinks it's gospel handed down from God, even they are starting to, question things because it's just so obvious at this point. So we've made a lot of inroads, and the work that you've done and the work that a lot of other people have done, the work that I've done. Now here's the thing that's interesting. I don't know where this is going with this whole museum thing, but, I kind of I got my foot in the door. So, I don't think they realize who they're dealing with here because they got me in there. I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm going to keep pushing that they get some sort of representation of the 9/11 Truth Movement in that museum. And I think, to their credit, they say they've done that. But we'll see if they're serious or if this is just kind of a controlled opposition and they just want to have that information so they can bury it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I thank you for your contribution. And this is going to be a short info trap because it was unplanned, but there will be more of these. So for Anthony Freda and myself, Ron Hines, this is the Info Trap.
Thanks, brother.